Hey mom, how's it going?
I'm having a great day, Lindsay. How's your day going?
My day is really good. I am I'm excited to jump into today's conversation because I actually have read a book by our guest today, and the book was actually something that you and I have tried to implement a little bit in our lives, which it's always fun when you can take a practical takeaway where you can just implement it directly. So, Larry, I am super excited to have you join our conversation today. Hello.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. And I've followed and watched you guys for a long time, so it's nice to be a part of your show.
Yeah, so Larry, what Lindsay is talking about is we both got to hear you speak at the North Carolina Big I Agency Leaders Conference. I was fortunate enough to actually share the stage with you there, which I will tell you, I was a little nervous having to follow behind you, like, oh my goodness. But anyway, we got to do
Yeah,
that, and you wrote a book about how do you be a really good number two, right? Or how to take the noise away. Like so and that is about how do you be a really good number two, correct, Lindsay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're very fortunate. We are a student of you, to be quite honest. And I'm really happy to have you on the show with us.
well, thank you. But I laugh when you say you were a little nervous about being on stage next to me or near me. All I know is after we had all spoke, I was able to walk around pretty freely. You could not because you had crowds around you all the time. Your celebrity status continued as I heard about you in advance, and then I got to see it in real life.
You're very kind. I don't know if that's true or if I just happen to have a lot of friends in North Carolina, but I appreciate you saying that. How about that? So, um, anyway, but why don't you, for the people who maybe don't know you, tell them a
Yeah.
little bit about InCite Performance Group, a little bit about you, and then I'd love to jump in for sure.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. I am a guy that I think the more you get to know me and the more you learn about me, I'm a simple little West Texas kid that had teachers that said you probably shouldn't go to college because you're not that smart. Truly, that's not one of those jokes. It's I had teachers say you probably should not go to college because we don't think you can get through college. But I was an athlete. Friday Night Lights, the movie Friday Night Lights. I'm part of that high school, or one of the two high schools in the
Cool.
movie. So, football player. I decided I was going to overcome whatever it was with this education thing, and so I did go to college. I did get a degree, multiple degrees, and I played football. And then I ended up playing in the NFL for a few years. And it's one of those privileged things. You get that kind of an opportunity, and people give you a lot of opportunities after that. And I still, to this day, don't quite understand why being a football player makes you of any value to anybody, but I use it. So they got me in the door, and I've been able to be on stages all over the world speaking, and I've had opportunities to be in some great companies. I worked for Ryder Commercial Leasing and Services. I worked in a heavy construction equipment company, worked in an insurance agency, and in those organizations I was just blessed to be in spots where people invested a tremendous amount of money in me. At Ryder, they put me through corporate finance training that was better than a master's. They put me through some marketing strategies and training when I was going through Ryder as well, legal training, and I've experienced, and I'm a person that's interested in everything. So I'm very curious. And as someone that was given opportunity to learn a lot, and someone that was going to be on the stage, I mean, I'm in my 20s speaking at large corporate events, and that's intimidating. And so when you do that, you decide I better be smart enough, and I better sound good. So I've always overworked. I've always put more effort into things to make sure that I can be successful. I don't ever want to be embarrassed. Now I'm 63 years old, and so 63 years old of chasing the fear of not being smart enough, and chasing the fear of not being good enough on stage or not being good enough as a consultant has brought me a tremendous amount of learning, and I'm blessed. The learning that I've gained, I've been able to put in books. I've been able to teach people. The results that I've been able to see inside the insurance industry and outside the insurance industry has been just incredible. I have producers that were doing 300,000 a year, and now are writing $1 million a year of commission. I've got one that wrote 2 million this year.
Wow.
I've got insurance agencies that have hit 50% EBITDA. I've got insurance agencies that have hit 50% EBITDA and growing at 20 to 30%, and they're
Yeah.
large. So I've been able to just experience great results. And I just love developing intellectual property. I love thinking through why things work. I'm a behavioral science a nerd. I love to study why people do what they do. So I just have a crazy, wild background that I don't know that anybody else has. And I just apply what I do know and what I've learned. And then what I'm going to learn tomorrow is what people get when they hang out with me.
Yeah.
You know what you said before we started the call, Larry, is you said, I don't consider myself a consultant. I consider myself a student of business.
Yes.
Um, and I find that really interesting. I feel like I would also consider myself in that framework, right? Like
Awesome.
I don't necessarily think that I have like a ton of advice to give people, but I just pay attention, right?
Yeah.
I like to understand why this agency's doing this and got this result, right? Whether that's good or whether that's bad. Like if it's bad, you almost learn more from it when it's a good outcome. So I really liked that you said that.
Yeah, I do believe it. And I think if we get too narrow into thinking that, what I am as a person is a consultant in the insurance industry, I think it narrows our focus. And I don't think the insurance industry really needs a whole lot of new ideas in the industry. I think what they need is ideas outside the industry. And I think they need more execution and implementation strategies. Nobody lacks. Matter of fact, when we first started our company, InCite Performance Group, it was spelled INSIGHT. And one of my good friends and mentors said, Larry, nobody needs more ideas, and that's what INSIGHT does. And he said they need action. So why don't you call it INCITE? And so that's when we created InCite Performance Group, which now is 7 advisors, expertise in just about every area of working on the insurance agency business. And our advisors are just like me. We are business students of business. We want to understand what industries are ahead of us. We've been big students of the financial markets and the financial world, wealth advisors. They're about 8 to 10 years ahead of us. So we study other industries so that we can bring the insurance industry along to catch up a little bit.
Well, before we jump in, I got to say two things. First of all, I'm happy you had that teacher that said that you couldn't get a degree because, man, that can go two ways. That can fuel someone to say, watch, hold my beer, watch this.
That's
And it can
right.
also create this thing where I believe what other people tell me. I'm glad you fell in the first camp. I don't know if you actually use those words, but your actions have definitely gotten you far beyond what that teacher said. And if you're a teacher listening to this, be very careful with your words, because if it's someone in the second camp, you never want to do that to a human being. And
That's right.
yeah. So anyway, I'm really glad to hear that you were in this first camp and you had a teacher that pushed you, because we get to be the beneficiary of you deciding to be the student of.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and I would tell you it also is framed a lot of who I am as a teacher, consultant, advisor, and that is, I look at individuals, and instead of trying to create early bias of negativity or what they can't do, I work hard to find out what their potential is, and I think that's one of the greatest successes I can say personally. I'm a person driven by altruism. I really want to see other people succeed more than myself. And so to do that, you have to be a student of them and learn them. And my successes, I would tell you that I'm most proud of, are being able to say this person thought this was their potential, but I helped them realize that they had potential beyond that and that they could do things they didn't think they could do, and then give them the tools, give them the resources, give them the motivation. So to your point, I think all those things that happen to us in our life, they frame us, and they help us become who we are. And I'm thankful that that teacher told me I couldn't, or no, I don't think she said can't. I think she said shouldn't, and you really shouldn't go to college because that's not your strength. You're not a great student. You should go to trade schools or do something else. And but it did. I mean, and I didn't take it as a I'm going to show you, but I did want to play professional football, and I did want to do certain things in my life. And so that became more of the focus: is how do I take on something that's hard and overcome it? And that's been my entire life. You just keep facing whatever's hard, because usually what's hard is where amazing things are on the other side. Easy stuff don't have amazing on the other side,
Right.
but
What's hard
anything
is
that
It's
looks
true.
actually
hard,
worth the journey, right? Like
yeah,
if it's hard, it's worth doing because you feel great on the other side. So
that's right.
you reminded me of something. We had a team meeting this morning, and the entire focus was around one of our clients that when we started working with this individual, had some challenges, and where he is today versus where he was when we started might be one of the most rewarding things,
Oh,
for him, for us, for everybody, because I don't think he saw the potential. And, when you combine someone who's looking and truly, genuinely interested in helping another person succeed, and they seek out skill sets that maybe they don't have, magic kind of happens. So I
that's
don't,
right.
I would describe our work very, very similarly to what you just said. And for anyone that is not inside a business, but you are someone who's invited into a business to help them grow, it's really helpful that you bring all these perspectives that that person doesn't have. So
Yes.
I'd love to talk about the other industries that you're focused on and how you see the insights or the lessons you're learning by studying these other industries, and how would you apply it to the industry that we share, which is insurance.
Yeah, yeah. We've been studying the wealth advising industry, banking, because fintech was 10 years ahead of insurtech. So, it was easy to see on the
Mhm.
technology side what was being applied and how it was being installed and how it was adopted and implementation and execution and all those types of things. So that's been the game that we've played for quite a few years. Now AI is really creating a whole new world for us because things are moving faster. Used to you could say, hey, 10 years ago, wealth advisors were dropping their insurance licenses, and I'm not their insurance, but they were dropping their licensing for being a wealth advisor. And stockbrokers, that had Series 13 and Series 7 and all those, they were dropping those licenses and becoming wealth advisors and using broker dealers. And so we saw that as a trend that also would happen in the insurance industry, that insurance people, now I'm not going to say we're going to drop our license because we can't do that, but what we can do is we can become more advisor consultants and use different models of executing the commodity part of the sale, which is the transaction. So becoming less transactional in our sales approach and in our consulting and in our value proposition, moving more towards being prevention strategies, mitigation strategies, giving clients great advice, getting beyond the risks outside of insurable risks. And those are the people and those are the companies that we've seen really, really thrive through the last 4 to 5 years and even up to 10 years, that they're moving away from the commodity. And so we saw that in the wealth advising world. It's continued. I think it's continuing here. We're seeing more and more fees versus commissions. So those things have happened over time. But now we see AI. And AI is not the only thing. And that's one thing I want to be careful of. I think a lot of people are jumping on, oh my gosh, AI is here. It's going to take us out. And no one's going to need an insurance agent, which is a bunch of baloney. I will tell you that all the studying that I've done, there's no question that AI is a great support. It's great help. It's going to make us faster. It's going to make us more efficient, but is not going to take all of us out. It may take some people that fight against it, people that don't want to adopt it for productivity reasons, people that don't want to adopt it for sales enablement and client experience. If they don't see that AI can help them, they're going to get left behind. And so we'll see failures. This may be one of the first times our industry has really seen a headwind that'll take people out. In the past, I've heard people say, "Oh, InsurTech's going to take us out." I went, "Not a chance." Banks are going to take us out. Whatever. There was all these different things that were going to take us out. AI, I think, is the first one that will take some people out. It's not going to take us all, because people that adopt it and people that partner with it and people that use it to be more efficient, more productive, they're going to have the greatest success. And are we going to see financial models change? Yes. We're going to see our compensation change in the way we get paid for what we do. And it's going to depend on the value proposition that you create. But for the transaction, you're going to get paid less. You just need to know, if you're just living on transactions of insurance, you're going to be paid less money in the future. So we have to have other value proposition of prevention, mitigation, and bringing consultative advice and broadening our platform of what we do from a risk perspective. Those are the companies that are going to survive this future. But I want to lean into something beyond AI. I don't think it's just about AI. I think it goes back, Lindsay, to what we were talking about earlier, and that's being curious and being learners. I believe the great insurance and risk management professionals of the future, they will not be known as great insurance people. They're going to be known as smart people. Smart people. An insurance agency right now should be driving everything they can towards how do we become known as smart. We are the ones that educate people. We are the ones that help them be aware of things to think about. We are the ones that are going to help navigate through all the complexity that's coming in the future. Being intelligent and smart is where the best will live and thrive in this industry going forward. And it's not being smart just about the insurance products. It's going to be knowing business. If I'm running an insurance agency today, we're going to do a ton of business acumen training with everybody. I want people to understand the world of business because we are advising clients on risks, and that's personal lines all the way through commercial, through benefits, whatever it is. We are advising on risk. And to understand and advise on risk, you have to have business acumen. You need to understand finance and operations and the economy and politics and all of the things that dots connect. And so, where we're headed in the future, smart companies are going to thrive and survive. And companies that are focused on the commodity, I'm not going to say you're going to fail, but you're going to shrink and you're going to be paid less and you're going to be in a space that might be something that those other firms use you to transact.
Hmm.
A lot
I
coming.
think, yeah, it is a lot coming. And I remember during COVID, I graduated college during the COVID pandemic. And I remember seeing a chart that was really just like a K, right? And it was like
Yeah.
people who thrive at working from home, being disciplined, and people who need the structure. Like if you are like, you need the structure, you need to go in the office, you are going to absolutely suffer and be on the downslope. If you are able to be a person that can work from home, keep up with their work, do all those things as a college student, right? You're going to thrive. And I think it's the same thing with adopting new technology and AI and the ability to adapt, right? Your staff's ability to adapt. You're going to thrive. And if you can look at insurance with a business mindset, you'll be able to thrive. If not, and you really just want to print a bunch of paper, add another filing cabinet, you're not going to thrive. You're going to really, really suffer in the new world that we're in.
Lindsay, I tell you, if you just look at the history of technology in a short history, in the 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, that framework, I had company after company telling me that InsurTech wasn't going to last. InsurTech's not going to make it. Now, Lindsay, what's really important to understand about those comments was I would follow up and say, "What do you mean? Why won't it last?" And they would immediately go to, "Well, people aren't going to buy insurance online." So that alone said, you don't
Different.
even understand what InsurTech is. Because InsurTech is productivity, client experience, sales enablement. And yeah, there's a component of it that maybe people will buy some insurance online. But what happens is when people are faced with uncertainty, when people are faced with something that scares them, they tend to go to a bias of trying to find the first negative thing that they can jump on, and they make the entire argument about that. And that's what happened in InsurTech. People said it's not going to happen. It's just no, it's not going to happen. I kept going, whoa, wait a minute. You don't think technology is going to make us more productive? You don't
Right.
think there's going to be specific technology in the insurance industry that is so archaic that's not going to change certain things? They wouldn't adopt, they wouldn't accept it, and so they ignored it. Well, because of ignoring it, other companies outpaced them. We're in the
Hmm.
same place with AI. We have people out there today that say AI is terrible, it's horrendous, it's going to cheat and steal and take our identities, and it's doing all these things. And so all they're looking at is one attribute of what AI does, and they're trying to reject the entire
Right.
thing from that one narrative, and that is a bias that is unhealthy. What we have to do in the environment today is we need to look at the world and say, let's be mindful, which means accurate, and let's be great critical thinkers. And critical thinkers don't attack and find out what's wrong. Critical thinkers ask all the questions. Well, what if we had to use it? How would we? What could it do? How would this work if we had to implement it? What would we need to do and change our organization to make it work? And we start asking the right questions and become critical thinkers, business acumen, then all of a sudden we start finding what will and won't work. Some things will not work. There's no question. but some things will. And the things will only when we are willing and capable of implementing it. The tool itself is not going to change anything.
No,
AI is not going to make any insurance agency better. It's the people's ability to think about it, apply it, execute it, implement it, and manage it financially responsibly. That's where it's going to work. So it's a combination of us as people doing things. So it's that positive mindset of how do I look at everything from a positive standpoint until I find out it can't, versus starting with the negative. And we're just
Absolutely.
repeating ourselves again. We're going from where we were back in the 2010, and now we're doing it again.
right.
And
Yeah.
it'll keep recycling.
I think an important like discussion topic in this sense though is there's a lot of people out there that don't want to deal with AI. They really don't want to. Honestly, there's people out there that don't want an AMS system or they don't want a CRM for their agency, right?
They're dwindling though, Lindsay. Those ones are dwindling. I'm not going to lie, right?
Yes.
They are dwindling. It's the same history,
Yes,
right? That
it
the
is.
same set of demographic of people who in the 2010s were saying, you know what? I don't need AMS 360. I don't need Easy Links. I don't need Epic. Those have all retired or are likely on their way to selling their agency and retiring. The same thing's going to happen with those that are super resistant to AI.
Yeah, and we have another dynamic that is emerging with this, and that is this multi-trillion-dollar exit that's going with the age of our baby boomers out there, and I'm one of them, so I can talk negative. The baby boomers are getting further and further into the age that says, look, I need to move on, or I want to move on, or I've already made the money I need to, and so that even changes the dynamic more than we had 10 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, we had people in their 50s and 60s, and they're saying, well, but maybe, but maybe, but maybe, and they kind of hang on. Well, now we're in our 60s and 70s. And for that group, the question is, do I have the energy to go through this? It's not whether I think it's going to work or not, or whether it's great or not. It's, do I have the energy? Do I desire to really play this game? Or am I willing to be a leader and enable my team to continue to go down that path? Or am I going to keep us from doing it because of my fears? And there's going to be
That's
people taking all of those different paths. Now, I would tell you, and Carrie and I had this conversation earlier, and I think she was leaning in the right direction. I think there are going to be people that say, look, at whatever age they are. I mean, I know some 80-year-olds that have more energy than I do. But, 60 something to 80 something, whatever we are, if you come to this place of going, I just don't really want to put the effort into learning this stuff. I've got enough money. I've built my company. I've done what I needed to do. And I don't know that I really want to put that level of energy in. That's okay. And I think boomers need to recognize that it's okay to take your money and run. It's not a bad thing. And there's great money in this thing.
right.
So it's options. Do I just want to exit and just go enjoy my life and not worry about it? Or do I want to lead in a way to free up and enable people? That's a choice. Or do I want to dig in and learn some of it? Do I want to learn all of it? But one thing to be clear about, you don't have to be a master of AI to run a company that is using artificial intelligence to be effective. What you need to do is be interested enough to understand what it's possible, what can it do? What are the things that we need to solve with
Yes.
AI? And then let me get the experts and people on my team and give them the freedom, give them budgets, make them be responsible from a business acumen standpoint to take our company where it needs to go. And that's okay too. Every choice that we live in an industry, and I know you know this, both of you, we live in an industry that every day we get stressed out with the biggest first world problems that we can possibly have. I have not seen a third world problem one time in our industry. I have not seen one time that somebody's worried about eating tomorrow or taking care of their kids or whatever. We live in a first
Yeah,
world
for
problem
sure.
environment.
For
And
sure.
so any decision you make is going to be okay. The only one I would challenge might not is to keep hanging on and saying nothing's going to change, because that could cost you a lot of money. It's still first world, but it's going to cost you a lot of money to say nothing's going to change and I'm going to keep going down this path and I'm going to fight against the movement that's taking place.
Well, and it's also just not reality. So the
Mm-mm.
way I would say this, Larry, is AI, in my mind, those that are going to leverage it and leverage it well have to really take a step back and think about what are the real problems that I'm trying to solve, and
Yes.
how could this be an option? So let's talk about some of those problems. We are going to have, we are in the middle of a silver tsunami, and it does not just impact owners, it impacts producers, it impacts service people, it impacts, we have this unbelievable number of people with knowledge in their brains that are going to exit over a period of time. What a beautiful gift that AI is here. And we could leverage AI to harness some of that data, capture some of that data to then inform people that maybe don't have as much experience in this industry to thrive quicker. Like,
Spot on.
there's opportunity everywhere, but it's not a threat. And I think you said it, a positive mindset or a mindset of abundance rather than a scarcity mindset is what you need in order to forge a path forward. That
Mm,
problem is real. It's never going to change. We have a talent gap. We have people don't think insurance is sexy. I know that's a really big headline that maybe people have a problem with, but it's not like people are banging down the doors to come into the insurance industry. And in some ways, that puts our industry ahead, that we might be able to leverage this in a way that other industries don't. You know what I
that's
mean?
right.
That's a
That's
good.
right.
So
It is.
I think the pain in our industry around talent could be a differentiator for us if we think about it in the right way. And I'm grateful that AI is here and there's so many opportunities in that particular line of challenges. I mean, there's lots of challenges, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I feel the way that you frame your thinking will be the differentiator here.
Yeah, I hope that's true. And I love where you went with that because it's the theme of reality is the number of people that need to will want to and need to transition from this business. Just think about it. It's 30 years ago and you have a consultant, advisor, producer with a couple of $1 million book of business, has intimate knowledge of all of his or her clients, knows everything about them, has grown up with them, has spent years with them, has all this institutional or not institutional, but personal knowledge about the client, and all of a sudden they're going to leave. How in the world does that next person take all that on? How do they learn about the client? How do they learn all these historical things? And so we put business at risk, and a huge amount of business at risk in these transitions, and many times we're not very successful at it. Well, with A, not only can we transfer knowledge about the everything we need to know about those clients. Quite honestly, what we're finding today is with AI, we're learning more about the clients than the producer already knows. Because we're
Mhm.
learning new things about them because of data and analytics and
Yeah.
resources and tools that we can extract. And I'm telling producers that are taking over books, I'm telling them, look, this is a gold mine opportunity. You can walk in the door and be gracious and be kind, but show that person what they're going to get now. It's better.
Yeah.
And don't talk bad about them. Don't say they did anything wrong, but just say, "Hey, I'm introducing something of value here. They're going to love you. You can know more about them. You can know about more about personalities. You can get personality data out there. You can get personality blends of understanding the past producer, how they engage. We can make better decisions on who is going to be stepping into those roles. We can bring more value to the clients in the next phase. What we can do today versus what we could do 10 years, 20, 30 years ago. AI is absolutely a wonderful tool that we have to take into this transitional phase of a lot of these companies. And that's to your point, the silver tsunami. We have a
Mhm.
lot of people that are going to be transitioning.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. And, you know, that goes for many industries. Insurance is not alone. There's a lot of people, baby boomers. I, I, I don't know what the statistic is today. Maybe you do, but I think that they still own the majority of somewhere around 70% of small businesses. So
Correct.
this is not an insurance problem. This is a reality of, we are going to have transition in lots of industries. We just happen to understand this industry better, and leveraging to account for that transition is a game changer. It truly
Yeah.
is.
Well,
Not just the way and when I say that, I don't want someone to think of, I want to transfer the knowledge to do it the way we've always done it. I want to transfer the knowledge to be able to build a foundation to build how we're going to do it in the future, but not lose the gold that we already have. Like that's the whole point. Anyway,
Carey, with 70% of the businesses out there that in the next 10 to 15 years are going to transition to a different owner, do you think our clients' retention might be at risk?
I think it might be, you know,
Yes.
we need to think about
So,
it. I think the value
yeah,
of your agent, the value of your businesses are at risk if you can't figure out a way to provide some continuity there. And oh, by the way, many of these companies, it's not just the owner transitioning, it is the people that do the day to day that have those relationships and have built that trust. So oftentimes when someone cites an owner statistic to me, I'm like, well, have you looked at your account managers? Because they're the people who are really serving your clients. When we talk about customer experience, they own it. They
Mhm.
are the heart of your business. And if you haven't figured out a plan for them, you probably should think about it, you know?
that's right. That's right. Well, one of the things that I experience frequently, as you do, I'm sure as well, is the number of times producers either leave and go somewhere else, or they leave the organization, and they always say, gosh, how much of that business are they going to take with them? Well, it's always a lot less than they think, and the reason why? It's that service team. It's that service team. It's the company's institutional processes and design, the things that they get. There's a lot of reasons why people don't follow producers, but producers tend to think they all will. But it's very small numbers that typically will transition over. And to your point, it's because we have a lot of people that bring value, and those people that bring value are also we're getting into a place where they're aging. So there's
Yeah.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
And with our clients, there's going to be multiple people they're leaving. And so, who are the next generation of people we need to deal with there? And are we talking to those people now? And are we engaging with the next generations to educate them on insurance so that we can keep these clients? And so many companies are just taking for granted that we have a person with a person relationship with a client, and they think that's going to sustain it. It's not. We're going
Nope.
to see retention numbers go down.
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, I think, Larry, that's why things like your book are so important, not to you know, I'm not blowing smoke, but the number 2 relationship, right, is really important to understand more than just the decision maker
Yes.
in the relationship. There is normally a number 2 who supports that decision maker. Who is that? What we need to know about them just as much as we need to know about the decision maker as well.
And how are you developing that number two? And are you giving them the ability to actually take action and build their leadership skills and, help you navigate the change that is in front of the entire organization? That question and that thought process again is how you build healthy businesses, and it's not
Yes.
just I have it all on my shoulders and therefore I have to keep it on my shoulders. That is not the game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, make the noise go away was written. I wrote that. It's almost 16 years ago now, and it's the power of an effective second command. And
Mhm.
I was on a call this morning. A gentleman called me from a whole different industry that got my book and wanted to meet me. So we were on a call this morning, and he was telling me all the things that he does and that people around him do to try to make second in commands. And by the way, second commands anybody that works for a first in command. It doesn't have to be the second in command, but it's anybody that is a direct report to a first command. And he was giving me all the techniques and all the things that he thought needed to be done. And his primary focus was, what do we need to teach first in commands so that they have better second commands? And I told him, I've been doing this for 26 years. I've been working on that concept. And to date, I still don't have a first in command that's done something to fix it. Not one.
Mm.
Second commands are the ones that have to do it. And that's why I
Mhm.
wrote the book, because make the noise go away is how a second command can go through and do certain techniques that are not traditional. They're not things you learn in school. They're things that you need to do to upwardly communicate, take things away from them, make better decisions. You've got to earn the right to get that first in command, focusing on what they do best. And if they're concerned about something, or they have questions about things, or they're not aware of what's going on, they're going to dig in and they're going to get labeled as a micromanager. And they're not. They are just interested in their business, because if something goes bad, it's their consequence. So second commands have to learn how to take that ownership of the things that need to be done, and of freeing up that first in command. and upwardly communicating, and all the techniques that I teach in the book. And it's as you know, it's an easy read. It's a parable style, 97 pages, easy to get through. But
It's easy, yeah.
and the book is I'm so blessed. Over 50,000 copies have been sold, and I've never marketed it a day other than conversations like this. And the second command can change the environment
Again.
of an organization.
It can.
And I believe that, and that's where the book's been very successful.
Yeah. Well, Larry, we could talk for hours. You and I think we had an hour conversation scheduled, you and I'm not sure how long it went, but
Close.
intentionally I tried to keep you on the call as long as possible so I could, because I think we think the same way. So we
We
could
do.
truly talk to you for hours and hours. And I would love to invite you back on the podcast again and again so we can dig into all these things because I love the way your brain works. And I
Huh.
love that you challenge people to not be afraid, to lean in, to be curious, have critical thinking skills around these things rather than moving in the other direction. And if you're going to move in the other direction, do it intentionally and don't hang on. Like, oh,
Yeah.
all the things I would say. So thank you so much for
Well,
coming on and being our
I appreciate it, and I'm so thankful to be a part of this. You have a great reputation. Your firm does incredible things, and as I said before, everywhere you go, you've got a crowd. So you're obviously getting results for people. But my parting words would be this: in the world that we're in today, there are going to be more challenges and more headwinds face us than we've probably ever seen. But just remember, we are dealing with first world problems. And when those headwinds come, you have a choice. You can either embrace it or you can endure it. Enduring it, hanging on and just being there is going to be miserable and it's not going to have a good outcome. But embracing any challenge that comes our way and taking it on because you want to and you want to learn and you want to push through it, what you will find that the other side of these challenges and these headwinds is going to be some of the most incredible successes that anybody has seen in business in our lifetime. We're seeing more millionaires being created faster. We're seeing more billionaires being created faster. And what we're going to be able to do in this industry, because the one thing we didn't talk about today is the reality that all the change that's happening is creating more risk, which
Mhm.
means they need us. The insurance industry is a very critical part of the future of all that's happening in this world. So take it, embrace it, learn it, push yourself through it, be excited about the challenges. And the other side is going to be incredibly rewarding. So thanks for letting me play with you guys today. It's been fun.
Thank
Always
you.
fun. Yeah.